So here are the answers to the questions at the end of the previous chapter. Hopefully you've got all these right. So why don't you tick these off before we go on to uses of waves in communication. Radio waves. Now radio waves are emitted from an aerial and pass into a receiver aerial. They're used to carry television and radio signals. They are affected by diffraction, which we'll come on to in a minute, when travelling through hilly areas. Radio waves of shorter wavelength can carry more information and they diffract less, but they have a shorter range, which means they can't travel as far. So let's look at the uses of the different wavelength ranges. On the left, the longer wavelengths. These have a longer range, they travel further, so they're used for national and international radio stations. Short range, classed as 1 to 100 metres, these are used by local radio stations, and if the waves are less than 1 metre, now these can carry more information because there are more pulses, so these are used by TV masts. Microwaves, now these are between a millimetre and a metre in length. They're used for sending information to and from satellites. So for example, they're used in satellite television as they pass through the atmosphere with little spreading and therefore with little weakening of the signal. We use them in mobile phone communications as well. They're emitted by mobile phones and they go to a mast. The mast then sends the signal to a satellite. The satellite sends the signal to the receiving mast, which then sends it to the receiving phone. Now the only problem with microwaves is that they do have a heating effect. We use them in microwave ovens, don't we? So some people are concerned about the health effects. Visible light. This is the visible part of the spectrum. This can be used in optical fibres, fibre optics. Most well-known use is in photography. The light rays are focused through a lens, and in film cameras, the old-fashioned sort, the light is focused onto a light-sensitive film, which is then taken out and developed into photographs. In digital photography, the light is focused onto a light sensor. The image is then processed and stored electronically on a memory card. Infrared rays. Now, we use infrared radiation in optical fibres or fibre optics. These carry digital signals, for example for our TV, phone and broadband. We also use infrared radiation in remote control handsets, so for example your remote control for your TV at home. Optical fibres carry more information than radio waves because the wavelength of infrared radiation is shorter than radio waves, which means the frequency is higher, so it carries more pulses of waves. Infrared cameras can also be used to detect warm objects, for example people or animals, in the darkness, and the cooler the surroundings, the more the warm objects show up. Okay, so quickly test yourself. Hopefully you've printed out all these notes so you can answer it now and find the answers at the beginning of the next chapter.